Has cold steel decreased in quality? That's a question we are going to answer in this video, hopefully. Now, on the table I have 3 cold steel knives that are well within the cold steel GSM kind of production time now. So they were not bought at the transition time from old cold steel company to new cold steel company. So we can say for sure this is part of what they do now. And so we're gonna have a look at these and compare them to the older ones that I don't have anymore, but I still remember very well how they feel, look, and perform. And then we're also gonna jump on the Cold Steel website and have a look on everything that's new with Cold Steel and see if you can see some changes there. So this is gonna be a longer video and complete nerd out, if you will. And yeah, let's dive into these right here. This is the Counterpoint one I bought like a year ago. The first thing that has changed obviously is the logo. You can see on the blade right here. If you do remember, the first Cold Steel logo from the AUS 8 era looked like this. And then when they transitioned to XHP, the logo looked like this. And now it looks like the one on the top. Funny enough, they still, on some of the newer knives, they still have the very first logo on the pocket clip. I guess they just bought a lot of these pocket clips back in the day, and it's just a little bit more inexpensive to produce that way. So looking at the Counterpoint 1, which I have owned previously before Cold Steel got sold, like 4 or 5 years ago. So Cold Steel got sold 3 years ago and they owned it like 4 or 5 years ago, so to clarify that. And yeah, this is perfectly centered still. The action is perfectly fine. The texture and everything, it feels and looks like my old Counterpoint that I had. Even the grind, if you take a look up here, you can see that the center grind and the tip are not in line. So the tip is slightly below that center line. This is exactly like it was on my old Counterpoint. So nothing has changed here. Steel is still AUS 10A. That's a little bit hard to say if the heat treatment has changed. That would be an interesting question. But in order to answer that, we would have to do quite a couple of tests. It's hard to do because if we would do that on this knife, for instance, this could still be a bad one or a really good one, because in mass production knives, you have quite a range of hardness and also in terms of burnt edges and everything. So yeah, in terms of heat treatment, we can't really answer that question for sure. I can say just from using this knife, how it performs, it still performs very much like the AUS 10 I was used from Cold Steel. So I personally can't see any difference in the heat treatment, but it's difficult to answer that question. So yeah, this knife perfectly fine, locks up solid. Everything is like on my old Counterpoint. Now, I've used the Finwolf in the past, also like 4 or 5 years ago, and now a couple months ago I bought it because back in the days I just borrowed it from someone. And this also looks very much exactly the same like the knife I have borrowed back then. It's also perfectly centered. The Finwolf is like a budget friendly Scandi ground knife, which there are not too many Scandi ground folders on the market, so it's kind of a niche. Yeah, it's still in AUS 8A steel, comes out razor sharp out of the box, still performs and looks like the Finwolf that I have handled in the past. And this also has really good action, locks up solidly, everything is smooth, everything is centered. Steel performs nice so far, can't really tell any difference to the one that I've used in the past. So in terms of these two, can't say anything negatively about that. Now, this is a little bit more interesting. This is the Cold Steel Bush Ranger, which I always wanted to check out. I always found it was kind of expensive, but I recently got one in. And this one is not too good in terms of build quality. Now, I haven't owned this knife previously, so I had to do a lot of video research on YouTube and find a lot of videos that were from the old Cold Steel era, and yeah, kind of compare them to this one and kind of see what the people are saying in terms of bad stuff. And none of these people had anything really bad about them to say, and also the build quality looked a little bit different. The first thing you can probably notice up here is that the swedge is misground. It has like multiple angles in the swedge. Let me get that to focus. And it's also overground. The swedge is not only ground to here, but it's also part of that steel is also ground in. Same on the other side, very asymmetrical, multiple angles in the swedge and overground. It also seems like there are multiple angles in the grind. I have cleaned this knife so you can see it a little bit better, but it seems like there is more straight in this section and more it feels like almost like a dent in this section. So not a cleanest grind, and as far as the grind otherwise goes, it's relatively symmetrical. So it's not, this is not too much of a deal, but what I show you next I think kind of is. This blade also leans kind of very far to the left. It seems like it's uncentered, but this is not a centering issue. This is actually a blade issue because the blade actually bends over to the right, as you can see. Or maybe you can see this. I hope you can see it. Either this side is grounded at a different angle as this one, but I think the blade actually leans towards the other side. The tip is also very asymmetrical. Next up, we also have the back spring right here doesn't engage fully into the tang of the blade. So it sticks out a little bit, and it also feels super easy to disengage this knife. If you think about cold steel knives always need a little bit of thumb pressure to disengage the locking system, and this one is really soft to disengage. I know cold steel has decreased the spring tension over the years, but this one is way softer than they usually are, and I have handled quite a few cold steel knives, so I can say this one has the worst action. It's also kind of difficult to open. It kind of needs a little bit more force, and yeah, maybe you can hear this. The back spring also rattles quite significantly, which is not an issue on any other cold steel knife. As hard as I try to rattle these are not really rattable, if that's a word. Also my older ones are not, so this is kind of only on this one. And also this back spring is kind of at an angle, so it's not perfectly straight. There are quite big gaps. Maybe you can see this, but there are big gaps between the G10 and the back spring, and yeah, it's kind of at an angle as well. And you can see that they are also not straight sideways. They also have multiple grind angles in there. So I'm not sure what's going on with the back spring. It holds up tight though. The knife doesn't fail if you spine whack it. And no, this rattle didn't just exist from spine whacking. This was prior to that. That's why I spine whacked it. If anything, the rattle got less, and also the lock up I think got tighter since then. But yeah, I just wanted to see if that knife would fail on me. Now I also found a video from another knife YouTuber. We'll leave the link in the description box. It's from Knife Video Channel. Shout out to him, by the way. I really like his videos usually. And yeah, he bought his Bushranger like a year ago, and he seems to have some of the same issues that I have with this. So yeah, the Bushranger lineup seems to be cursed now, I guess, but we only know for sure from 2 knives that have this issue. We don't know if all the new Bushrangers have this issue. The older ones at least didn't seem to have it. But yeah, like I said, these knives feel and perform exactly the same like the older ones. They are not bad at all, and this one is really a bad example, especially for the price. Yeah, this might even be the worst cold steel that I've handled so far. Like, if it only had like a misground swedge, that's fine. If it only had like a misground back spring, that's fine. But all the issues combined, especially with the warped blade, the holes in the grind, this not locking up tightly, it feels kind of bad. And also this knife is really thick behind the edge, so I'm not sure if they were thinner back in the days, but this is so thick behind the edge. I cut a couple of things with this and it doesn't really cut very well because it's so much thickness, so much material behind that edge. So yeah, I don't know. So let's actually jump on the Cold Steel website now and see if we can find some changes there as well. Alright people, we're at the Cold Steel website, and first we are going to have a look at some of the newer stuff, and then we jump to the old stuff and see if anything has changed there. Cold Steel released a couple of sharpening systems, and a lot of these are like pull-through sharpeners. I actually had one of these a long time ago from a different brand. A lot of companies buy these and sell them, but they are all from the same manufacturer, I guess. and these are really the absolute worst sharpening systems you can ever buy. Can't recommend these pull-through sharpening systems at all. Now, yeah, they have some different ones as well that are not pull-through sharpening systems. They look all right, but price is really low. And what is concerning is that there is no real sharpening material given on these. They say it's diamond coated, which I've never heard of these. There are diamond stones, but diamond coated seems a little bit suspicious, especially for the lower price. And they also have a sort of a knockoff of the Wicked Edge system for a lower price. And yeah, honestly, my thoughts about these are very low quality sharpening systems, and maybe the higher priced one, the copy of the Wicked Edge, might be better. But there are so many good sharpening companies on the market that have been in this business for a really long time. There's absolutely no reason to buy a sharpening system from Cold Steel, in my opinion. The release of a couple of throwing stuff, for example, throwing stars, which is not particularly new to Cold Steel, but I think the quality of these throwing stars and the design, the looks, is new to Cold Steel, because Cold Steel has never been this cheesy. And yeah, but what can I say? It's usually a bad direction when companies lead into throwing stuff, especially throwing stars. They have a couple of hatchets, throwable hatchets. Some of them remember of the SOG hatchets, which is fine. They can absolutely do this now that they own SOG as well. So yeah, they can do that. Jesus Christ, what is going on with the grinding on this one? We don't even talk about this one. These are kind of cool actually, because you get a package of 4 and you may turn them into like tactical knives. You just have to build some sheaths for them. But yeah, these are like ice picks, like a really inexpensive set of 4 tactical knives. But some of the reviews, I read some of the reviews on the website, and they say they're really poor quality. So I don't know. Yeah, they brought out some expendable batons in 2 different sizes, also for a really low price. Can't really speak on these if they are good or not. I can't really tell from the pictures. So yeah, we have to wait and find out. The Airlight got a black version, which I think looks kind of cool. The Chaos series also made a comeback with the Chaos push knife. As far as I know, this existed in the past before, but what is actually new is that they have rubberized the handle now, which is not a bad thing. Because I think one thing that I never liked about the Chaos series is the full metal handles, and metal handles give you quite a lot of shock, which is not really comfortable at all to hold a metal handle knife and using a metal handle knife. But so this might actually be an improvement. I've read some comments though that these knobs, these striking things over here, are now made of plastic, and I think they were previously made of aluminum. So yeah, we can see a decrease in material here, at least a little bit. And yeah, like I said, was never too much into the Chaos series myself. The Cold Steel Engage, they have brought some new models to the Engage series. At first, this 3-inch Engage existed and the 3.5-inch, and now they made a 2.5-inch, which is kind of a smaller version, and also has the 4116 steel. We see this a lot with Cold Steel now. The 4116 seems to be one of their new base model steel, base knife steel, I guess, as opposed to previously AUS-10 or S35VN. 4116 we see a lot more now. Which Cold Steel has been using that steel in the past quite a bit, but usually in really low priced knives. So this is actually new for them. Yeah, I hear some bad things from the 2.5-inch version of the Engage. It's supposed to be not as manipulative in the locking system because it's kind of tight spaces in here. In terms of the other Engage models, they have an AUS-10 version with GFN. They have an AUS-10 version with G10, and then have a 4116 version with GFN. GFN is kind of a plasticky material. So I don't know why they would use OS10 and G10 and OS10 and GFN. It's kind of confusing to me why there are so many different versions of this. Why don't they just make an OS10 only in G10, and why don't they only make a 4116 only in GFN? I don't know why they do that. But yeah, I will show you some pictures of these as well. They only have the CAD files on here. So these are computer graphic pictures. These are not real pictures. I don't know why they don't have real pictures on the website on some of the products. That's also a very consistent thing now, as it seems. They have a lot of CAD files in terms of their product pictures, which is kind of weird because you can already buy them on the website. Why don't you show me what the real product looks like? It's a little bit weird in terms of marketing. And like I said, the 4116, we see this quite a lot now. I'm actually interested in the Engage because I want to check out that Atlas lock. I think it's a very cool locking system, very straightforward. It's probably the last cold steel design from Andrew Demko before he left the company, or at least one of the last designs. And it's a cool locking system. I really want to check it out, but I think these are kind of pricey in some cases, especially the S35VN versions like this one. A little bit overpriced, I think. The cold steel Verdict. The Verdict is a really cool design. It seems like this is part of the old cold steel design team because it doesn't really look like the new stuff that they do now. And it's very much in the family of like the Broken Skulls, or very slim, lightweight, easy to carry pocket knife. Also in the 3-inch size range, and made of OS10 and G10. On paper, this looks perfect to me. I really like the Spear Point Verdict, and they also have a Tanto version. And do they have it in a different colors? Yeah, they also have it in like brown G10. And this is the Tanto version that you can see here. In terms of how it looks, the materials, I think this is a great knife. I just think it's a little bit pricey for what it actually is, so I don't like it as much. And also you can see the deep carry pocket clips on here now that Cold Steel uses quite a bit, and they have the new logo branding already on the pocket clips. Good and bad things about deep carry pocket clips. It's better to conceal but harder to draw. So in terms of like cold steel knives that are more hard use work knives, I wouldn't really like the deep carry pocket clips myself. But on the other hand, like I said, it's easier to conceal. So deep carry clips, they have have some good and bad things about them. They also make a cheaper version of the Verdict in 4116 steel, and they make it in like a GFN material, so like a plasticky handle scales. The cool thing about the GFN scales is that they are 3D contoured, so you have more contouring going on, and it's also a little bit less expensive, which is I guess nice for the people that don't want to pay too much. They have brought out some hunting knives. They have the Click and Cut, if you remember, was a knife series where you could release the blades via like a backlog, but these are actually not foldable, so this is just a release of the blade. It's not a locking system. And yet they have this hunting kind of knife with a really low Scandi ground blade, which doesn't look like a good cutting geometry to me because it looks like this Scandi ground and then has a secondary bevel. It looks really bad in terms of cutting geometry. And again, we only get a CAD file, even though you can already buy this. We don't get to see what the knife actually, or the knife blades actually look in real life, which is kind of sad. They made some fixed blades of that same series as well. And these look a lot better in terms of the grinding because some of them have full flat or saber ground blades. So they look better in terms of their geometry. And you can get them in like a little box which protects the blade, which is also nice, I guess. Although if you close it, maybe they hit each other. I don't know. No, probably not. But yeah, this is not too off. Cold Steel has always been in the hunting genre, so it's not something crazily new, especially that GSM also comes out of this hunting sort of branch of the industry. They made a lot of traditional knives. They have the Stockman, which is like a free-bladed traditional knife. They make it in smooth bone and also in chipped bone handle scales. And they also make a Trapper, which has is a little bit bigger and has 2 blades. You probably know this style of knife from other brands as well. And yeah, it looks like these are made by like Rough Rider, because these are made in China out of 8013 MOV. And for the price, this could be made by a Chinese OEM like Rough Rider. And yeah, if you have no experience with Rough Rider, they are really rough. So not really good blade steels, or I should say not really good heat treatments. These knives don't really cut for very long. So I don't know. Not too much into that traditional Cold Steel stuff that they do now. They have also made the Stockman version, which is part of the Ranch Boss series. So it looks similar in terms of design and handle material. It's also Chinese made, comes with a leather sheath. Yeah, if it's the same quality than the Ranch Boss, which is this one has existed before Cold Steel got sold. It's actually a good knife. I have one of these. I think it's a good knife, even though it's made in China. It's made of SK5 steel, so it's a carbon steel blade, so it will patina and rust. But yeah, I think this is actually not a bad knife at all for the money. And they also made a smaller version, which is called the Ranch Hand. Yeah, it's just a 3-inch blade as opposed to the Ranch Boss being a 4-inch blade. The only thing I don't like is that the smaller version is even more expensive than the bigger version. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah. I guess these are not bad, because the Ranch Boss is good, so I suppose these might be similar in terms of quality. Yeah, they also released a couple of new sword designs on sabers, and I can't really speak on them. We really would have to handle them. If they are still made by the Indian OEM that Cold Steel has always used, they probably are very high quality. The only thing that surprised me is how much these swords actually cost now. So this is like a katana, a blade, which was never inexpensive, but $1,000 is quite a significant price increase. And these are also very expensive. Obviously, these are retail prices. We talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, these are all very, very highly priced. Quality might still be there, but the prices for sure have significantly increased. All right, many of you might remember the Spartan. It looked like this quite a while ago. And the new Spartan design looks like this. Also was released at the transition when Cold Steel got sold. So this may very well be still a design from the old Cold Steel design team. I do actually like the newer Spartan look. It has a full flat ground blade as opposed to a saber ground blade. So this one has a lot more weight up front, and this one is a lot slicier in terms of its geometry. It's available in plain edge and serrations. Handle material is the same. Steel is still AUS-10A. Like with the old one. The old one had CTS PD1, I think, for the longest time, and then was changed to AUS-10, which is a perfectly fine steel. I like it. Now, what I do want to say though is prices have increased significantly. The old one was like around 75 euros usually. In the later Cold Steel days, they pushed up a little bit further, but they were never this highly priced. And yeah, so the new Spartan is significantly higher priced now. In the US, you're gonna see a little bit cheaper street prices. In Europe, these are the actual prices that we are going to pay. There is also a signature series from the Spartan, which kind of is a little bit concerning to me. This is G10 and S35VN as opposed to GFN and AUS-10. But the AUS-10 version is 130, and this one was $400. So a huge price increase for G10 and S35VN, which materials usually don't cost that much more. They cost more for sure, but not $300 more. It's also on sale now. I guess nobody buys it really for that price. And yeah, I still wouldn't pay this price if I can get a less expensive one in AUS 10, and AUS 10 is a perfectly fine steel. The Leatherneck Bowie is also a newer knife for cold steel. It's a bigger version of the Leatherneck series and now comes in S35VN as opposed to D2 steel. Oh no, this version is actually also D2 steel. My bad. I'm not sure if D2 steel is a good steel for a big Bowie knife. D2 steel is not the most stable steel in terms of toughness. And this is also significantly higher priced. So yeah, I don't know. They also make a signature series of the same knife, which is now on sale. So if you're interested in this knife, I would buy the signature series in this case because it's on sale. And the signature series actually in S35VN, which I think is a better steel for this type of design right here. But yeah, still a highly priced cold steel. Yeah. Now, some of the old stuff that they brought back, the Natchez Bowie and the Laredo Bowie in CPM 3V. These are actually street prices in Europe right now, so in some cases even higher. So yeah, significantly increased in price, the Laredo and the Natchez Bowie in 3V. And they make a cheaper version of both of these, but the cheaper version is still $409.99. And it comes in 43.4 stainless steel. 43.4, if you don't know that steel too well, I have done some research. I have my Knife Steel app open on my phone next to me, and it says the 43.4 steel is a German steel, part of the 420 series. It's just lower in all the elements that contribute to 420 steel, so it's a lesser grade steel in terms of its elements. And 43.4, it also says further, is only used in really inexpensive entry-level knives. So yeah, $409 is not really an entry-level knife. So yeah, like I said, people, the steel is not as important as geometry and heat treatment, but in this case, I kind of feel like Cold Steel put out the highest price possible for the lowest steel material possible. And in terms of the handle material, it says it's micarta, but micarta has obviously different grades of micarta. There are cheaper ones and higher quality ones. We don't know what kind of material this one is. Yeah, and they also make the Laredo Bowie in the steel and for a higher price. The Trailmaster hasn't changed so far. It's still in semi-free, I want to note. Yeah, the price increases we see in all cold steel knives pretty significantly here in this Gurkha Kukri, which was, I think, as far as I can remember, about half the price for the semi-free version. Now it's in CPM 3V and $764. Street price is a little bit lower than that, obviously, but not here in Europe. So yeah, that's the Gurkha Kukri is extremely highly priced now, which is sad because this is considered to be one of the better Kukris on the market in terms of its design and performance. But I'm not sure if I would pay this premium price for it because you can get like a custom made Kukri for that price. Just want to say. And it's also custom made in America, for instance, not in Taiwan. So yeah. The Warcraft series. The Warcraft series has some design updates. I show the old Warcraft really quick so you can remember. The old Warcraft had a stone-washed blade made of CPM 3V steel and a beautiful, nice and contoured G10 handle scale and a tapered tang in the back. If you don't know what a tapered tang is, the tang slimmens down towards the end and helps with the balance of the knife. It's really hard to do, so it's also a more expensive process. These were never inexpensive knives to begin with, but they also were made in Italy, made of CPM 3V with a tapered tang and contoured handle. They have moved the production from Italy now, I guess, to Taiwan. We don't really know that, or at least I don't really know that. If you know where these are made, you can leave it in the comment section below. That would be helpful. But yeah, they have redesigned the knife, so it's not a tapered tang anymore, and the handle looks like this. It's cheap GFN. Looks really bad in my opinion. Some of the blade If you look, the chimping is down here, so you can hold it in a saber grip, and now the chimping is up here, which could be debatable if that's good or bad, but yeah, I don't know if I like this new design, so it looks kind of cheap. Securix sheath, like on the old one, that one hasn't changed, and also the 43.4 steel. They also make it in Sanmai free, though I show you the biggest version now. There are multiple versions available, but this is the biggest version in G10, and that comes in Sanmai free, and that one is $500, again very highly priced. The old one, this is the old one, the Magnum Warcraft Tanto, so the biggest version, had a much nicer, beautiful and contoured G10 handle scale, and again a tapered tang. And where do I have it? This one doesn't have, this one has the new handle design like on the other ones. And I think something, to me, something looks off with that blade design. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I think the old one looked a little bit better. And the old Magnum was also never as expensive as the new ones are, although the old ones were made in Italy. These are not, and these look worse in things in terms of design, I would say. So yeah. All right, people. Yeah. What about the cold steel stuff that was has been around for a really long time? You can still buy the Recons, you can still buy the Voyagers, although you will see an increase in price on all of these. I show you some street prices of Europe right now. This is the cold steel Recon in an OD green version. When I bought my Recon one in OD green in CTS XHP, it had a hollow ground blade and it was like 130 euros. Now they are 260 euros. So actually that's double the price now. So, and you get a flat ground blade and S45 yen as opposed to hollow ground and CTS XHP. So yeah, here you can see the cold steel, the new cold steel logo on the clip as well. So yeah, but generally speaking, this is like a limited edition green, which is just a different color. It's not really, I don't know. But yeah, generally speaking, the normal version is also 200 euros. So yeah, to summarize this whole topic, has cold steel decreased in quality? I think in terms of the Warcraft series, it has decreased in quality, I would say, in terms of design materials being used, in terms of some of the other Bowies as well, in terms of steel being used in relation to the price. And some of their knives have just gone through the roof with the pricing. And some of the new stuff, like the sharpening stuff, the throwing stuff, yeah, has for sure decreased in price. And the Bush Ranger I have also has decreased in price, not in price, in quality. But yeah, yeah, to summarize this whole thing, has cold steel decreased in quality? In some cases, for sure, yes. But I think that's not the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem that cold steel has is not the huge decrease in quality, but the huge increase in prices. So that's where I'll land on this topic. I think cold steel has for sure not that nice price to performance ratio that cold steel used to have back in the days, which is kind of sad. I don't really want to end this video negatively, so let's actually go out and do something with one of my older cold steel machetes, because I still have my cold steel knives from back in the days, and I'm still gonna use them. I'm still gonna make videos about them. I'm just not really gonna be buying their new stuff really anymore. So yeah, let's actually go out and do something fun. Sweet. This is how you draw this machete. You don't. You just, you know what I mean? Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Boom. Boom. Okay. So I noticed that this matchet machete seems to throw really well, so I will try to stick it in this old log over here. If you fail in life, try and try again until you succeed eventually. Yes! Yes! Yes, 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 yes! This feels so much better when you fail first. Yes! Let's do it again! Yes!